There is absolutely not one answer here that's going to be wrong. You could say whatever it is, and there's no wrong answer. We're just going to have some fun here.
And both, I mean,
Wrong! The
if
correct answer is absolutely the Coliseum. It's just, to me, it's too iconic. Vacation, all I ever wanted. Vacation, had to get away. And that's how we're going to start off episode number 206 of the Promo UPFront podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kirby Hasseman. Actually, I am one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. But with me, as always, is the other fine host of this program. Let's call him the Baron of Avoiding Burnout, the one and only Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, man. You know, it's summertime. The weather has started to warm up. I know that it hasn't been as amazing in Nashville as but you don't have to. It's usually a little colder here. And so when it gets warm and I get to be outside on a regular basis, it helps my mood, brother. So I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah. I'm doing great because as we record this episode, I am actually on an airplane heading to Europe with my bride of 30 years, and we are going on an epic 18-day trip to Europe, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, during this podcast. So I'm doing great because I am getting out of the United States for a little bit on a vacation. Haven't had a vacation with my bride in over 10 years, just her and I. So really, really looking forward to that. But you know what, Kirby, what's interesting, that got me to thinking.
Okay.
About one of the most important yet overlooked categories in branded merchandise. I mean, you know, the best way to get someone's attention at any event is with colorful and eye-catching mats that pop from our good pals over at Logo Mats. You know, for 20 years, Logo Mats has been providing promotional branded mats of every shape and size. That's right, 2 decades of indoor, outdoor, and point-of-purchase mats that are bold, bright, durable, and made right here in the country in which I'm leaving today, the United States. Kirby, so I know as a distributor, you've experienced the value of Logo Mats and how they demand the attention of people, even the distracted ones.
Yeah, I love the logo mats. The logo mats are, one of those things that I think we don't always think about, but it is an integral part of the branding when somebody comes into your establishment. And so I'm a big fan of building that into the offers we make.
Kirby, you did it again. I couldn't have said it better myself. And did you know that Logo Mats made the PPAI 100 at number 53? It's something they're very, very proud of, and they're beyond honored. And to help them celebrate, they're offering a 10% off to distributors for their next order to thank them for their partnership and their support. That's right. Just use the code Promo UPFront on your next PO and get a full 10% off. Head over to logomatsllc.com and let the fabulous team at Logomats help you and your clients stand out where others are just content to fit in. All right, Kirby. Now, before we kick off episode number 206, you have the upfront section of the podcast, but I think we'd be tone deaf. We'd be remiss if we didn't give you a round of applause. You are about to, next week, I believe it's on the 19th, you're going to drop episode number 500 of Delivering Marketing Joy, which for those of you who are math challenged, that's halfway to 1,000. Pretty impressive feat. You've done it consistently every week. You've been a role model to me in terms of consistency. Congratulations on what I'm sure will be a tremendous episode 500 of Delivering Marketing Joy.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you saying that. We have been doing it a long time. This started back in 2014. And so, yeah, it's been a long time doing it every Wednesday. And so the consistency is something you and I talk about a lot. We're going to do it live at 10 a.m. Eastern, and I'm going to talk about some of the lessons I've learned, but hopefully as long as the technology works, I'm going to do some live. People want to drop in and ask questions, we can do that as well. So I'm pretty fired up about it. So thanks, man. I appreciate you bringing it up.
Absolutely. I'm sorry I'm going to miss it. And that's true.
No, you're not.
I'll be I believe I'll be in Santorini. No, where am I going to be? I'm going to be in Naples that day, so I
Mm,
apologize.
that's awesome, man. Good
But
for you.
you'll be fine without me watching it live. I will watch the recorded version. But again, all seriousness, congratulations
Thanks, buddy.
on your piece of content. Hey, let's talk about our piece of content here,
Let's
our
do
joint
this.
piece of content. You have the upfront section of the podcast today, Kirby. Would you please, without any hesitation, I don't want you to drag your feet. I want you to get right to it. What is your topic today for the upfront section of the podcast? Is what because that's what we always start the podcast with. A lot of people would start a podcast with a different section. We start it with the upfront section. And in this case, upfront means first, and first means the primary topic that we are going to base the entire episode on. And again, this is episode number 206 of the Promo UPFront podcast. I'm Bill Petrie. With me, as always, Kirby Hasseman. So, Kirby, again, without any delay, if you would go ahead and give us that topic. We are just champing at the bit. We're ready to go. We want to hear what you have to say. It's your dime, your dance floor. What do you got for us?
Okay, very well done, as always. So I want to talk about something that's been bugging me in the industry a little bit.
Okay.
And I kind of wanted your take on it. So we've talked about sort of, you've got your distributors in our industry, you got your suppliers in the industry, and then there's like the middle ground, of course, service providers, and then the ultimate is like one of the other places is multi-line reps.
Sure.
And so big fan of multi-line reps. I feel like we've got some amazing folks in the industry who do this. One thing that I find strange is over the years, I've seen again and again and again where multi-line reps don't have websites to promote themselves, to promote the lines that they have. And I always thought that was weird. Now, early on and many years ago, I was always just like, well, they just don't have the time and the resources and they're not inclined to do it or whatever. But more and more, I'm finding that, gosh, it's weird when a multi-line rep doesn't have a website because I can't
Sure.
go as a customer and go, okay, they came and saw me or they were at our end user show and they showed somebody a product. Which line is that for? They might have 5 or 6 or
Right.
9 lines or whatever it is. And what I found is it's cost them business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that they like, I go and I'm like, well, that pen, I can't find that pen. So I'll just go to somebody who I know has a similar pen and like they've spent the time, they've spent the money to come and see me or come and do a show. And that is a simple thing that could, oh yeah, that's with that line and I could go find it then. And so I've actually pressed several of them on it and been like, hey, you need to have a website to promote it. And I got, no, there is the, hey, don't have the time to manage it, all that stuff. But honestly,
All
that's
right.
not the pushback I've been getting. And I was surprised that several, not one, but several have said to me, well, we don't want to do it because then suppliers who we work for will know who we're repping. And I'm like, what? That's so mind blowing. But again, I didn't hear it from one person. You know what I mean? I've heard it from multiple people. And what that tells me is, and so I pressed them on. I'm like, but I'm trying to buy it from you, which would sell product
Yeah.
from the supplier and da da da. They're like, yeah, but the suppliers kind of beat us up. If we have something that there's overlapping lines, they will call and yell at us and threaten us and that sort of thing. And I'm like, that is mind blowing to me. Talk about the scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. And so
Yeah.
I, I have some additional thoughts on this, but I wanted to know what your thoughts were on this. Do you think that's legit? Do you think it's an excuse? Do you think what's your take?
Okay. So here's my I listened to everything you said,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm processing it.
Yeah,
My
I threw a
initial
lot at
thought
you.
is
I know.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
my initial thought is this, Kirby. If a supplier is upset with a multi-line rep in the other lines that they carry, then hire your own reps. Shut up. Because I got to tell you, that's the model.
Yes.
You said we have categories in the promotional products industry. We have distributors, we have suppliers, we have service providers, and kind of multi-line reps. I don't look at it that way. We have suppliers, so distributors, and service providers, and the multi-line reps fit in that supplier category.
Okay. Yeah.
They just happen to represent several, 5,
Mhm.
6, whatever
Yep.
the number is. Every multi-line rep that I know, and I know quite a few,
Mhm.
try to do as best they can to essentially be a one-stop shop for every product category
Yeah.
without them overlapping. The challenge is there is so much overlap between different companies, it's
Yeah. There's no way.
impossible to do that.
Yeah.
So if that's really the pushback for not having the most important piece of digital real estate, a website,
Yeah.
I find that to be just really short-sighted, extremely, you talk about turning the clock back to the competition over collaboration.
Yes.
It's ridiculous. I don't buy this at all. Again, when people are nervous about just things, they want more control. And that's what it feels like to me. We don't know what's going on. We don't really control multi-line reps because we don't control how much they're talking about our
Mhm.
line. They might be
Yeah.
talking about the other line more than they're talking about our line. So we're going to try to control it a different way.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah. Well, so I think, sometimes we talk about this every once in a while. I will push back just for the sake of the podcast. Dude, I
Sure.
couldn't agree with you freaking
Mm.
more. I think this is so lame and short-sighted. If it's true, again, this is all allegedly, but I have heard it from multiple people. That's the thing that makes me go,
Yeah.
okay, there's something there. Like if you're a supplier and you don't like that multi-line reps have overlapping lines, hire a rep. Shut
Yeah.
up. Like that is
Yeah.
literally what you're asking them to do. And it's
Yeah.
different. It would be different if you were like two calendar lines. If it would be
Yep.
different if you were like, if you're Josh at Vault Promotions and there was another badge line, that would be weird. Okay. But
That
the but
that's
but the
that's a
idea,
niche line with niche line versus niche line, 1,000%,
yes,
or
but
niche,
the
whatever you
idea
pronounce it.
that you have drinkware and this other place has drinkware. Shut up! Everybody has drinkware. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's gone so far as people like the supplier kind of saying, "Why did you like that post? And why did you do this?"
Mhm.
And it's like, dude, like a
When
rising tide raises all boats here, folks. We like this is stupid, stupid.
you're as a supplier, your absolute level of direct control over the people you employ or partner with is in direct proportion to how well you compensate them.
Yeah,
So you're not, yeah, I'm sure you compensate them very fairly being multi-line reps, but you're not giving them a salary. It's
right.
100% what they sell, and you don't have any control. You do not have any control over what
It's
they do.
it's the debate about the independent contractor, right?
It
And I
is.
didn't mean to get into this, but it is the thing
No,
where
it's
it's like
fine.
if you want them to be an employee, then you got to do the
Then
benefits and all the other
yeah,
stuff. Like if it's an independent
yeah,
contractor, it's an independent contractor. You by law, you're not allowed to control some of this shit.
yeah,
And clearly people are trying to. And so I think this topic probably started out and people were like, "Oh, I'm a bash on multi-line reps." I think it's
yeah.
the opposite. We
Mm.
got to give them and allow
No,
them to use all the tools they can.
it'd be the same thing if a supplier got upset with a distributor because they sold
Yeah.
a different pen than what I'm selling.
Yeah.
You don't have
And they
control over
do.
that. That's not what you can. Have better offerings,
Yeah.
have better sales tools,
It's the way
have a better
competition works.
pricing, have better experience with packaging, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You better.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, Kirby. So for our mid podcast sponsorship, we have something fun and something
Okay.
different this time. We
Okay.
had the fun Promo Pulse little poems. Now we've got a little playlet as
Okay.
written by Brittany Fraze from Hirsch, which
Okay.
I believe is essentially going to make fun of me. Now, this is complete with bad acting for me and Kirby. Kirby, are you ready to commence our playlet?
Yeah, I'm super excited.
All right, here we go. Scene one. Hey, Kirby, the Sultan of the Stress Ball. I know you love Hirsch as much as I do, so you've totally heard of their new imprint method, right?
No, old man. But if you can stop pining for hard candy and reminiscing about when the horseless carriage was introduced, I'd love to know more.
Well, Kirby, Hirsch has just launched Color Max on their three best-selling JBL speakers. That'd be the Go, The clip and the flip. You guessed it, youngish Kirby. No more tiny imprint areas on my aging eye that my aging eyes can't see, and no more boring boxes. Your speakers can scream in style and hopefully not too loud as I'm starting to lose my hearing a little bit. You can put a full album cover, a cat's face, or even a picture of Betty Grable on those bad boys. That's right. It's
Sure.
like getting a full sleeve of tattoos for your speakers, minus the judgy looks an old man like me is going to give you when demanding some sort of awkward explanation over early bird special at Denny's. Hey, head over to HurstPromo.com and click the Color Max banner to learn more. Quick question, Kirby. What is a .com? And scene. All right, Kirby, round of applause for both of us. I think we did amazing. Thank you to Hirsch.
Nice job,
I've
Brittany.
got a topic. So I mentioned at the top of the podcast, hope as you're listening to this, I'm somewhere in transit over to Rome
Mhm,
with my wife. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, a couple things. We are going to be recording a couple of podcasts
mhm,
in advance so that I don't have to lug a microphone and do all sorts of weird math conversions in terms of hours and try to find, internet access on Mykonos or wherever we are at with the day we record. So
yeah.
Kirby's been very accommodating to do that, and so that's interesting. But I wanted to share and talk with you, Kirby, about trying to prepare for vacation a little
Mhm,
bit as a mainly solopreneur and
mhm,
how challenging it is. I wanted to get some feedback from you. So we've been planning this trip for probably 17 months,
mhm,
a long time. So I've had a long, and I've kind of used this as okay, I need to figure out how to manage Brandivate and manage this business better so that
mhm.
I can really take a vacation and fully unplug.
Right.
Because it's a very big challenge when you're the one running the business. If something goes wrong, there's no one there's not many people that are going to cover my ass on this. It
Mhm,
comes back on me, and so it's a
sure.
lot of planning. And so over the last, I'd say 6 to 8 weeks, I've communicated with every one of my clients, explained to them the weeks I'll be out, asking them if they would approve the things that are due those weeks. And to a client, they've all been phenomenal. Absolutely, we'll do whatever you need. And if you even so much as answer an email while you're on that trip, we're gonna, kill you or whatever. So they've been absolutely lovely. But the amount of planning and mind games, I mean, the amount of papers I have in here of schedules of things I have to do to get done,
Mhm,
it's almost mind-boggling. I think I'm going to get on that plane today, if you're listening on Friday, June 14th, and exhausted.
mhm,
I want to know how you do it. Now, granted, you have a team, so it's a little bit different, but I'd like you to
sure.
get that mindset of early entrepreneur Kirby and how you felt you could prepare for a vacation like this.
Yeah, and it is different, and it's been a long time. And to be honest with you, just off the top, it's like it's one of the reasons I was fairly quick to hire.
Mhm.
Right? Is that you know that when you hire, you're giving away your own money. People do not understand that. Is that the
Yeah.
moment, like I remember having conversations when I was a young entrepreneur that like I'd be in a committee meeting and everybody was like a government
Yeah.
representative or whatever, and they're like, what do you they're talking about the joy of creating job creation for entrepreneurs. And I'm always just like,
Right.
I think we view it differently than you do. Like it's
Right.
great for the community. And don't get me wrong, we want to hire people if it makes, but we're
Sure.
not doing it to feel good. Like it chunks into our bottom line.
Yeah.
And so I was not quick to, but I was, that's one of the reasons I wanted to, is so that I could unplug occasionally. That being said, man, like even when you have people, like it's not
Yeah.
the same,
It's
right? It's
no,
not
it's
the
not.
same.
It's totally not.
So to answer your
Yeah.
question, like it depends on the trip. And I think that your trip,
Yeah.
the cool thing, it's the first time you've done something like this in 10 years, you said. And
Yeah. Just my wife and I. Yeah.
and you're not like going to Knoxville, right?
No.
Because this isn't for a long weekend. You're doing 18
No.
days, which
Yeah.
that's that tracks. That's on brand,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
so it's the prep for something like this is even more crazy.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I think your personality is well suited to it. But to do this sort of thing, it is exactly like that. And tools are better in today's age that you can schedule social media posts, you
Yep.
can schedule
Yep.
communications that go out. But to me, it
Yep.
was always back to communication, communication, communication.
Right.
Like now I usually did back then, especially give the bat phone communication to those top clients. If something goes
Yeah.
wrong, whatever, here's where you need to reach me. Don't just send me
Right.
an email. Here's how to do it, whatever.
Right.
Because I'm going to be drinking by 1 p.m. And so you want to catch me
Sure.
before then, whatever.
Right.
But I do think that the level of planning that you're having to do is probably far exceeded what I needed to do back then, right? Because
Yeah.
of the number of clients that you're managing
Right.
specifically, but also the length at which the trip is part
Yeah.
of that, because you're like, okay,
Hmm.
on Tuesday or on Friday the 14th, I know what's happening. And you
Right.
know, and because it's also, the other thing is back when I was a solo entrepreneur, content wasn't a big thing. I didn't have, my career wasn't as evolved. Like, you are a mature entrepreneur. And I mean that in the sense that you've got a lot of clients, like you've got a lot
Right.
of work that you're doing. So yeah, big planning, big communications. Those are kind of the big
Yeah.
things. Now, as a
Eh,
side note, now I find out exactly where I'm the bottleneck, right?
no,
Now that I have a
absolutely.
team,
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, I go on vacation because I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit, I'm in the way of progress there. And so that's helpful.
Right. No, and I've, like I said, I started probably about 8 weeks ago communicating, okay, this is when I'm going to be out. Are you cool with it? And everybody is. We're sitting here recording this on June 6th, which is a Thursday.
Mhm.
I have everything to every client approved and done through July 4th. So I am a full month in advance, so I can fully unplug. Now I'm going to check emails twice a day.
Mhm.
And I'm fine with that. I have an executive administrator who's going to kind of monitor things on the back end.
Mhm.
If there's some sort of crisis, which I doubt very seriously there will be, but if there is, she knows exactly what to do and how to handle that. But it's not just that, it's blog writing.
Mhm.
It's like what you talked about, the content. It's this podcast and you know, getting everybody coordinated. And even and you've been so gracious saying, guys, Kirby, can we pre-record 3 or 4 of these, please? Because I just, for once, I don't want to take a microphone
I
on a
hear you,
trip. And
man.
so it has taken a lot of planning, but it does show me, like you said, I think when you said I was well suited for this, because
Mhm.
I'm a pretty meticulous planner, so I
Yep.
think it has suited me. But also, it's been great clients, quite frankly, great
Mm.
clients really being just very gracious and wanting to help out as much as they can.
How how do you feel? How do you right now? You're a month out, not a month out. You're going to be leaving here before too long.
I'm a week
But
away.
yeah, but how do you feel right now about it? Are you
I feel
crazy?
Yeah, I feel crazy. I'm a little stressed. So I have, my goal was to get everything done as if I'm leaving this coming Saturday, July 8th. That gives me next week to look at everything 2 and 3 times, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Mhm.
Is everything look all right for this client? Does everything look okay for this client? Is everything scheduled properly? Is there any gaps I'm missing? Any of those deliverables? I want there to be zero interruption in services at all for every client.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I feel good about it because I have days built in where all I'm doing, not doing any sort of content creation, I'm not doing any sort of actual work for clients. I'm actually just checking all the things that have been done to make sure every I's been dotted, every T's been crossed, so that when I do get on that plane a week from this Friday on the 14th, I feel pretty good about things and I can kind of really actually take a deep breath and be in the moment. I don't want to be a slave to emails. I don't want to be a slave to a phone. So actually feel I'm nervous,
Mhm.
but I'm anxious, but I feel really good about the planning I've done.
Yeah, and I don't. So I've thought about this a lot lately. That it's funny. I think different people relax differently.
Right.
So for me, one of the things that happens when I go on vacation is I'm an early riser, and Amy likes to
Yeah.
sleep in a little bit.
Yeah.
And for many years, she would kind of give me a little guff because she'd be like, "Why are you getting up in the morning and checking email and doing
Mhm.
this?" And what I found is it helped me to relax. It was the
Yes.
opposite. Like, if I was, and again, whether that's right or wrong, like
Right.
Simon Sinek talks about, when I go on vacation, I tell my employees, if there's a problem, deal with it because I'm on vacation. And that's great.
Right.
Kudos. You win life. But
Yeah.
I find that if there is a fire and I can just say, hey, can you deal with this? Here's a thing. by the way, 90% of the time I get on the email and it's nothing and I delete a bunch of stuff and I just feel better and I can go on
Yep.
with my day. That makes me feel better. So
Yeah.
when you were saying I'm going
That's
to check email a couple times,
yeah.
I get that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I do it for my own peace of mind. Good.
Mhm.
There's nothing lingering. People know my response times are going to be weird. I'm going to be 8 hours ahead, or
Mm.
8, 9, 7 hours, wherever whoever's whatever time zone clients are in. I'm going to be ahead of everybody by hours.
Mhm.
I will check it first thing in the morning, and I'll delete things, and,
Yeah.
and I'll respond if I need to. I did. We're taking as a European Mediterranean cruise. One of the We're going to be in Rome for 4 days and then zoom all around. Um, I paid for upgraded internet so that if I do have to work, I can get in and out and be done. I
Yeah.
really want to unplug and relax on this trip, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I have to thank you for certainly helping my team. I have a very small team, but my team for helping while I'm gone, and then mostly my clients who've just been phenomenal about
Yeah.
this is
That
great.
makes a big
So
deal. That's a big deal.
it does. It
Yeah.
does. All right, Kirby, do you have another topic for us?
You know what? This is completely going off script here, of what I was
Okay.
planning on asking you, but it
It's
occurs to
almost
me
unscripted.
almost. Um, like as this drops, it's been a couple weeks. You did a
Yep,
blog post
I
about
did.
your health, and
Yeah.
I just we don't have to spend a ton of time on this, but I did
Fine.
want to acknowledge it and just say, man,
Yeah.
great blog, talking
Thanks.
about the journey and kind of detailing the challenges that you went through. But I found it
Yeah.
pretty inspirational of like, okay, cool, this was good, but I wanted to push further. I wanted to do better.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read that, go to the Brand of Eight marketing website and check it out. But how's the response been? Of put and how did you feel
Yeah.
putting yourself out there? Because I know for a while you weren't wanting to talk too much
Yeah.
about that. How's it been?
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. I wouldn't plan on talking about this, so it was
Mm,
completely extemporaneous.
yes.
The blog post is called Type 1.5. And I think
Mhm.
if you listen to this podcast, if you're one of our 6 listeners,
Mhm.
you know that we actually had to postpone an episode, which we've never had to do,
Yep.
because I was admitted to the ICU in
Yep.
December, and I didn't explain why. I
Yeah.
wasn't, I got a
And
diagnosis, which I'll
little
share. Yeah.
inside baseball. The reason we canceled it or we postponed it is because I wouldn't do one. Bill wanted
Correct.
to do one from the ICU.
I did.
So go
I did.
ahead. Go ahead.
So I wasn't the diagnosis I got was that I was diabetic, but a different type of diabetes I'd never heard of, which is well, not type 1, not type 2, but type 1.5, or more commonly known as LADA, which is latent autoimmune diabetes in adults. And it was a very difficult diagnosis for me to come to grips with, and I wasn't ready to share. And so I kept it pretty vague. I wrote about being in the ICU, but not the reason why.
Mm,
And at the time, it was, my health. I'll share when and if I want.
yeah.
In a week or two ago, that was when and if. Um, I felt I had to share on some level, just because I think that's kind of who I am with my content.
Mm,
I tend to be an open book, and so it felt almost disingenuous to not share. I've openly shared successes, I've openly shared struggles and failures. So it felt weird not to share that, but I wanted to do it on my terms, on my timeline, and that's what that blog was about. It took me a while to write it and
I bet.
strike what I felt was a chord I was comfortable with. So long story short, it's an autoimmune disease. I have diabetes, and over time, my pancreas will stop working. So I was put. You can read the blog. I'm not going to get in super detailed about it, but immediately I was put on a pill called metformin, which is amazing, but also insulin 4 times a day, three
Mm,
times once before each meal. I had to measure my blood sugar and do a different short acting amount of insulin before meals to combat rising blood sugar, and then a long acting overnight. And my doctor, who was very encouraging, just said, you'll get your life back. It's going to be extremely overwhelming. And he was right about the overwhelming part. It
mm,
really was. And so I had one goal. I knew I was going on this trip, and I wanted to be off insulin if possible for that trip, because it's hard to take
yeah.
a needle and a syringe and go into a bathroom at a restaurant and measure my blood sugar, take a insulin shot, and then I got to eat in 15 minutes. I got to start eating
Mhm.
right away. So it's a lot of mental gymnastics. So slowly but surely, I got off of all the short acting insulin before Expo, and that was a huge victory for me. And I was really proud of myself. And I hate when people say that, but I was. But that wasn't enough for me, and I kept going and I kept pushing. My long acting insulin was at 30 units. It got slowly lowered. I went to the doctor. My A1C, which was a ridiculously unhealthy 15.1 when I was admitted to the intensive care unit, was 5.1, which is below diabetic levels,
Nice.
which was fantastic. And slowly. And then about a month and a half ago, he said, "Are you ready to try just staying on metformin on the pill
Mhm.
and not doing the long acting insulin once a day?" And I said, "Yeah." And so it's been great. I measure my blood sugar. I've got one of these little handy dandy arm patch things that measures my blood sugar. It goes right to my phone, and I can see what different foods, how they impact me, how they don't impact me. That's I'm trying to get through this. I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Um, reaction was great. I didn't know what to expect from
Sure.
people, to be honest with you. A lot of people have reached out publicly, certainly on the posts, and then privately. My husband was diagnosed, or my wife was diagnosed. Hey, our child is was diagnosed with type 1 when they were younger, and what I have is closer to type 1 diabetes, which I think we all grew up with. That's juvenile diabetes. People are born with it, or they get it in
Mhm.
childhood.
Right, right.
This is very different. It's very different in terms of when you get it, because
Mhm.
I'm not a child. I know that shocks people with the way I behave, but um, it is, it's essentially, it's closer to type 1, but it does have aspects of type 2. It's a very difficult thing to really pinpoint and diagnose. So you just treat it as you go. So it felt good to kind of get the cat out of the bag.
Mhm.
You knew from very early on. Obviously, I told you as soon as I was diagnosed, because I was in the hospital, and we do something like this every week. A couple other people knew, but for the most part, I kept it pretty close to my chest because
Mhm.
I wasn't comfortable with it. I was embarrassed.
Mhm.
I think I even told you that. I was embarrassed because I felt like people would judge me. I know what my preconceived notions of diabetes were, and they were all wrong. You don't
Mhm.
eat your way to diabetes. You get it or you do not. And I thought people would also give me a lot of unsolicited advice. That has happened. Um, uh, you know, and I had a
Not
weird
me.
analogy, which I had a weird analogy, which I won't get into here, but everybody's like, I got my cousin's brother's uncle's goat's nephew had diabetes, and they ate a watermelon twice a day and totally went away. I got a lot of that.
Mhm.
And then I was worried about being judged, because a lot of people think, oh man, you have diabetes, you can't drink anymore. Actually, I can. I have to be smart about it. I have to watch what it does to my blood sugar. And I think I said in the blog, I've traded Jack and Coke for Jack and Coke Zero.
Yeah.
I've tried to eliminate all processed foods from my diet. Very difficult to do in
Yeah. Yeah.
this country. But and a nice byproduct is I've happened to lose a little bit of weight, and I'm trying to keep that off.
Mhm.
So I think I said in the blog, Sandy absolutely hates it when I say, the diagnosis may be one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Because it really was a giant wake up call for me. I needed to change my lifestyle. Being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, as you are, time is money, and I'm stretched so many different ways, and there's so many times where I'm hungry. I'm not going to take the time to have a proper lunch. I'm going to grab a can of Pringles and a Coke, and I'm going to eat the Pringles while I work, and the next thing I know, the can's gone. I've had probably 900 a 1,000 calories, and I wasn't working out on a habitual basis. So I've changed all that. I do meal prep. I have fresh foods. I eat a lot of fish. I eat a lot of very clean salads, things like that. I exercise every day religiously. I relearned how to enjoy exercise again, because I got out of that. But so it's been great, life altering for me. The response to the blog was great, and I'd like to stop talking about it because I feel like I've rambled on a little too long already.
No, man, I think I appreciate you sharing. And I think whenever you share something that's so deeply personal, it's really easy
Yeah.
um, to kind of talk about those things once you've decided to. And
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I felt like it was, I read it, and obviously I know a lot of what your journey has been. And so I think
Yeah.
that it's cool that you've shared it, because I think, to your point, everybody's got things in their mind. And so if it
Yeah.
inspires them to push harder and take control of the things that they can control, right? Because
That was the
there's some
message of the
stuff,
blog.
yeah, there's some stuff that you can control, some stuff you
Yep.
can't. You took control of the things you could control. And I think that's if
Yeah.
if that's all people get from it, I think that's good. So kudos to you, brother.
Well, I appreciate your support. You know, the one thing I would say is I can be a stubborn son of a bitch when I want to be.
Hmm.
And so when I put my mind to something, I will do everything in my power to accomplish it. And my goal was to get off insulin. And more importantly, I wanted to see how far my body could go. How
Hmm.
far can I push my 54-year-old body that's been sedentary for probably 3 years, eating very unhealthy 90% of the time for 3 years? How far can I go? And if I have to go back on insulin next week, I've won because I hit my
Hmm.
goal. If I
Yeah.
never got off insulin, but I was doing 1 shot a day and it was 6 units, I still won because I did everything I could.
Right.
And I would sleep great at night knowing that. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the future holds. I have my expectation for life expectancy is no different than yours or anybody else's. And medicine has come a long way. And I'm able to monitor my blood sugar without pricking my finger. And I get to go on a trip without having to take an insulin pen. That's huge
Mm,
for me. I don't have to
it
worry
is.
about refrigerating medicine. So, again, I want to see how far I could go, and I wanted to see if I could hit my goal, and I did, and I'm proud of that, and we'll see how long it lasts.
Nice, man. That's good. That's good.
Thanks. All right, Kirby. Hey, are you familiar? There's a small company based in Silicon Valley called Apple. May have heard of them.
I have.
So this article comes from Inc. magazine. Apple has a ridiculously simple way to avoid employee burnout. And I think we look at Apple as a very high stress, got to
Hmm.
put out a lot of output, So they have highly coveted jobs, but it's not for the high salaries or the lavish offices or even the really fat benefits. The main appeal is how cushy the positions are and how there's a brilliantly simple yet effective reason for this. And that's freedom, Kirby. Previous to the pandemic, Apple had a reputation for being a tough workplace with very little work life balance. And following to the return to the office pushback, we've kind of
Hmm.
documented that, I think, on this podcast for a lot of companies.
Right.
Apple now prioritizes flexibility and freedom for those who put in the work. So Apple's approach is this, Kirby. It incentivizes productivity while building positive hustle culture, not a negative one, where like a negative hustle culture is where, and we see this often, people who are high performers and do a lot end up getting a lot more work just piled on them.
Right.
I've seen it happen
Sure.
many times. So what they've done, they create a cushy job that allows staff some degree of freedom to do what they want when they want, as long as they get their work done. So instead of punishing high performers with more work, Apple rewards them with more freedom. I'd love your take on this. I have some thoughts, but I would love yours.
I think this is one of those things, and this is the first I'm hearing it. But my reaction is, duh.
Yeah,
Like the idea that you would allow people to, I think this is what we all aspire to as leaders. We want to
yeah,
hire great people to do great work and give them the
yeah.
freedom to grow and then explore work that will make them even better. Like, and I
Hmm.
forget the company, so forgive me on this, but they talked about like,
Yeah.
oh, I think it was Google actually. 10% of their
Okay.
workday had to go toward a new project or whatever
Yeah.
project they wanted to work on. And so they were excited with that amount of time in their day to work on that one thing that they felt could make a big difference or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
It I think it's a very enlightened approach, right? I like how autonomy is earned in proportion to performance.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
get freedom? Work hard and get there. As opposed
yeah,
to, I know Amazon really struggles with this. High performers get more shit dumped on them, and
yeah,
it's that burns people out
yeah,
big time. And so I like where top performers are pulled towards freedom instead of pushed toward burnout. I think it's brilliant in its, of course, it's duh. I
yeah.
agree with you. It's how could you not see this? But I
But
don't
man, it's
think
not what
that's
people are
the
doing.
way.
Yeah.
No, no. It's
Yeah.
like, well, hey, Bob's doing a great job over there, and so is Sally. Let's have them run that project and let the slackers continue to slack.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I really like this. All right, Kirby, I know we're up against it, but I've got a quick vacation rapid fire, quick
Okay.
one for you.
All right. All right.
And there's no, I want to be clear here. There is absolutely not one answer here that's going to be wrong. You could say whatever it is, And there's no wrong answer. We're just going to have some fun here. All right, Kirby.
It's a trap.
It is not a trap. This is vacation rapid fire. And we're just going to base it on a couple of the countries I'm visiting, if you're okay with that.
I'll
Italy
do my
and
best.
Greece,
Okay.
two places I've never been.
Same.
I can't wait. Super excited. Are you ready, Kirby?
Sure.
Let's start off with an easy one.
Okay.
Really easy. Just kind of, it's kind of wading into the pool, right? Here we go. Greece or Italy?
I think I'd go Italy. I think
Okay.
both seem
Athens.
exciting.
Yeah. Athens or Rome? You're doing great so far, by the way.
Ironically, I think I'd say Athens.
Okay, perfect. I would agree. Athens. I would have picked Greece over Italy, but that's okay. Again, no wrong answers. You're doing fantastic. Colosseum or the Parthenon?
Wow, those are both good. I'm gonna go Parthenon. I think both. I would.
Wrong! The correct answer is absolutely the Colosseum. It's just, to me, it's too iconic. To me, it's way too iconic. And plus, you can visit the Parthenon, full-scale replica, 20 miles up the road in Nashville. Hey, I'm number one according to Kirby. Kirby, that was the wrong finger. All right, Kirby, Naples or Mykonos?
Oh, I love Florida. I'm gonna go Mykonos. Just seems more fun to say.
Yeah, Mykonos is very fun to say, and I'm excited about going to Mykonos. All right, Kirby. The national drink of Italy, which is a Campari, or ouzo, which is the national drink of Greece.
Ouzo.
Okay. I'm going to go ouzo as well. Good man,
Yeah.
you're really doing great.
Yeah.
Before dinner, right? You want to have something to eat, so a little antipasti in Italy, or
Okay.
some nice olives in Greece.
I'm gonna go antipasti.
Okay, I happen to agree. Seriously, you had one little stumble there, but man, right back on that freeway getting going. All right, authentic Italian pizza, Kirby. Pizzeria della Madonna del Monte or Little Caesars Pizza.
I'm gonna go with the traditional Italian. Yeah, for sure.
Here's the thing, Kirby. What you forget, it's actually named Little Caesars, which was an emperor in Rome. Okay, so I think that's probably going to be the more authentic one, not the one named after a pop singer. Ready for dessert, Kirby? Tiramisu or baklava?
I don't like dessert, but
I know you don't. I don't anymore either.
Yeah, I'll go tiramisu.
I actually would have to go with you on that. Now, quick, we're just going to do, these are really quick. God challenge. You know, there's Greek gods and Roman gods. They're the same ones, but they have different names. Ready to go. We're going to go quick. King of the gods, Zeus or Jupiter?
Zeus.
God of the sea, Poseidon or Neptune?
Neptune.
Correct. Aphrodite or Venus, the goddess of love?
Venus.
Wrong. Aphrodite. The goddess of victory, Nike or Victoria?
Oh, Nike.
100%. The god of the underworld, Hades or Pluto?
Hades.
Correct. The goddess of wisdom, Athena or Minerva? Again, no wrong answers. Which one?
Athena.
Correct. Last one, Kirby. The god of wine, Dionysus or Bacchus?
Dionysus seems more fun to say.
Wrong, Kirby. Unfortunately, you screwed it up at the end. It's both of them because I'm going on an 18-day boondoggle. And like you, my liver will be pickled by 1 o'clock every day. But hey, you know, again, I'm not going to overlook having a great time on my vacation.
Yeah.
Just like I know our distributor listeners are not going to overlook our good pals over at Logo Mats any longer. That's right. When you want to get someone's attention at any event with colorful, eye-catching mats that pop from our good pals at Logo Mats, it's a very easy thing to do. Head over to logomatsllc.com. And again, reminder, number 53 on the supplier side of the PPAI 100. They're honored by that, and they want to celebrate your support, your partnership, Mr. and Mrs. Distributor, by offering you 10% off on your next mat order. All you need to do is put promo up front on the PO, and they're going to knock 10% right off that sales price, and you're going to blow your clients away with some really, really colorful, meaningful mats made right here in the United States, the country in which I'm leaving for the next 18 days.
Have fun, man.
That's right.